Please subscribe and watch my best stories there. The late afternoon sun scorched the cracked pavement of a quiet small-town gas station. Heat rose in wavering ripples, blurring the horizon. The smell of gasoline clung thick in the air, mixing with the greasy aroma drifting from the diner across the street. It should have been an ordinary day, the kind no one remembers. But what happened next would never be forgotten by those who saw it. At pump number 4 stood a lone woman. Her old minivan rattled faintly, sounding as weary as the woman herself. Her name was Marissa Cole, a single mother trying to hold together a life that felt like it was always slipping apart. She had no idea that within minutes, cruelty would surround her, and then salvation would ride in like thunder. Narrator's pause. Friends, before I take you deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in standing up for what's right, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and share this story with someone who needs hope today. Your support keeps these stories alive. Marissa's day had already been a storm long before she pulled into that station. Her shift at the diner had dragged late into the night. Her paycheck was short again. That morning, her little boy had handed her a back-to-school supply list that felt like an impossible mountain she could never climb. Now her van, a battered old thing held together with duct tape and prayer, was choking on its last breath of fuel. She had scraped together every coin left in her purse to buy just enough gas to make it through the week. Life had carved heavy lines into her young face, yet her eyes still held a quiet fire. The kind of fire only mothers who fight tooth and nail for their children carry. As she fumbled with the nozzle, digging for coins in her frayed wallet, the trouble began. From the convenience store strolled 3 men. They weren't locals. Their tattoos, loud voices, and swagger gave them away instantly. They carried themselves like the world belonged to them, their grins wide and mocking. One tossed an empty soda can on the ground. Another spotted Marissa. That was enough. They circled closer, the taunts starting low, then growing louder. They mocked her clothes, her van, her struggle. One reached toward her purse, dangling from her shoulder, laughing as if her fear was their entertainment. Marissa's hands shook around the gas nozzle. Her chest tightened. She looked around. The station was nearly empty. No one close enough to help. Her heart pounded with one desperate thought. My son is waiting for me at home. She could not break here. Not now. But inside, she was crumbling. The men's laughter grew sharper, cutting through the heavy summer air. And then, it came. A sound at first distant, low, like thunder rolling over far hills. But it grew. Louder. Stronger. The ground itself seemed to vibrate. Engines. Marissa turned her head, her breath catching. Out of the horizon rolled nearly a dozen motorcycles, chrome flashing beneath the harsh sun. They roared into the gas station like a storm unleashed, engines snarling like wild beasts. The pavement trembled as they lined up, one after another, forming a wall of leather and steel. The laughter of the 3 men died instantly. It was the Hell's Angels. Their presence alone silenced the air. They weren't just riders. They were legends on wheels, men whose reputation carried weight heavier than words. Their leader swung his leg over his Harley. He was a towering man, his beard streaked with silver, his eyes as sharp as steel. The insignia on his cut was unmistakable. His boots hit the ground with a force that seemed to shake the asphalt. Without speaking, he and his brothers moved forward. They formed a half-circle around Marissa, their presence a living shield. The thugs froze. Their bravado drained away. They stuttered excuses, voices cracking. One tried to laugh it off, but the sound faltered under the crushing silence of the biker's gaze. The leader didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His stare alone spoke the warning. Leave or regret every breath you take here. The 3 men stumbled backward, scrambling for their car. Tires squealed as they fled the lot, leaving behind nothing but their cowardice. Marissa stood frozen, her knees weak, the adrenaline threatening to topple her. She hadn't realized she'd been holding her breath until it left her chest in a shaky exhale. The bikers remained, silent and watchful, until they were sure the threat was gone. Then, at last, the leader turned toward her. For a moment, she braced for judgment. Her broken van, her threadbare clothes, her weary eyes. But his gaze held no pity. What she saw was respect. He gave a single nod, simple, wordless, yet powerful. The kind that said, "You're not alone. You stood strong. We've got you now." Another biker stepped forward quietly, slipping folded bills into her hand without ceremony. A second popped the hood of her van, tightening a loose connection and topping off her oil from a can he carried. They didn't speak. They didn't ask for thanks. They simply acted. Tears blurred Marissa's vision, spilling freely. For so many years, she had fought her battles alone. But not today. Today, strangers had stood beside her. The engines roared once more, rising into a thunderous chorus as the angels prepared to ride. Before mounting his bike, the leader looked back at Marissa. His words were simple, but they carried the weight of a promise. "Keep going. You're stronger than you know." And with that, they rolled out, vanishing down the highway like a storm fading into the horizon. Marissa stood at pump number 4, clutching the folded bills, her chest still heaving. But the fear was gone. In its place, warmth, healing, hope. The bills in her hand wouldn't erase the hardships waiting at home. The road ahead would still be long. But something had shifted deep inside her. For the first time in forever, she felt seen, protected, reminded that goodness could appear even in the darkest places. Closing narration. If this story touched your heart, friends, please don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Every click helps us spread more stories of courage, love, and compassion. And before we close, I want to ask you something important. Do you believe moments like this, when strangers stand up for the vulnerable, still happen in today's world? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because sometimes the strongest thunder comes not from storms, but from people who refuse to let cruelty win.